Hi, this is Eric Beyer of Old Vine, Texas, a new winery tasting room featuring 100% Texas wines from wineries all over the state. We are located in Mansfield, Texas, inside of Ancora Event Center on Broad Street. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie board to enjoy, live music, and a new wine club. Go visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter and learn more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Are you ready to pop your cork? In the left corner is 6'4", 242 pounds, with a record of 45-0, the undisputed.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Will.
Hey, how many bottles of wine have you had?
Well, Will, it's not the wine. I'm just so excited about the podcast.
Yeah, I am too. But this is not a boxing match. This is We Know Texas Vino.
So.
Welcome back, We Know Texas Vino listeners. Before we start on part 2 of the Sage Vintage Crush episode, I want to remind everyone that the Gainesville Wine and Country Festival is this weekend from noon to 7:30 with the Luke Combs Tribute Band following up afterwards. Now, back to our show with Michael and Wes.
Well,
And growing.
I actually showed Wes a varietal right now that in Texas is the only winery, Sandy Rhodes, is growing that varietal right now in the United States. Yeah, I don't even get me to try to enunciate it. Did you remember what it was?
That's what you were showing me a minute ago.
Yeah, that's what I was showing you. This is from Sandy Rhodes right here. This is a varietal that is only grown by Sandy Rhodes, and it's the only place in the United States growing it right now. And I actually tasted that at the Lone Star International wine competition over in Grapevine. And I sat there and I looked at it, and I was like, that looks like a Pinot Noir. But I picked it up and I swirled it around and got a look at it some more, and I smelled it and I said, this is not a Pinot Noir. And I was like, what is this? This is not a normal, because they had it all clumped together with Pinot Noirs. So, of course, they give us a number for those. So I took a picture of that number and I tried it and I loved it. Actually, that was probably one of 4 that I actually drank the whole glass. So I was like, I need to know what this is. So after the competition's over and they pulled the blinds back and we got to look, that's what it was. And I was like, I have to have a bottle of that right there. And so I don't know how to enunciate it. And I'm hoping that I can contact Sandy Rhodes and I get a bottle of that and I share it with my new friends here. Or it may not even make it up here. I may give you the bottle.
Probably won't. That's all right. I'm going to have to reach out to Reagan and see what he's got going on down there, because that's some pretty exciting looking stuff.
Again, when I looked at it and I swirled it, and I mean, at first it had the light body like a Pinot Noir, but you could tell it was not a Pinot Noir. I mean, you just the smell, and after you swirl it around and seeing the legs and seeing the body, seeing the whole 9 yards, you knew it wasn't a Pinot Noir. And I just had to know what it was, and that's what I found out what it was.
And going back to my dad's grapes, the Concord, I recall, I'm thinking back now that I've learned a lot of the chemistry that I believe his grapes would probably never, I don't know, their sugar content as I think about it as a kid, because it made great grape jelly. It made great juice, because there was a company at the time that had, and that was their big thing, Concord grape. And you open that little bottle and man, it was like, this is awesome. So thinking on that now, it probably would have been a challenge to make, it would have been a very dark wine, because those grapes were just so purple. It was crazy. So probably something like that commercially, that's what it would be used for, with your jellies and your juices and things like that. So there again, now you have 2 different categories that the people that are listening to this maybe never thought about. You have your commercial grade grapes, jelly, things like that just don't make it into wine, and then vice versa. I mean, there's some of these wines or grapes that it would be hard for you to make a good jelly out of it, because you would have to add different things to it to get it to give that consistency that you'd want on a piece of toast.
Well, I don't know. There are some people out there making some really good jellies out of these grapes. My brain just went totally blank there. I know what it's like.
I think a lot of it too is like it's just a matter of what is and isn't
calibrated.
Yes,
I was going to say
calibrated.
accepted, but what you're calibrated to, right?
We're going to start championing that.
That's going to be on a T-shirt. I have a calibrated palate.
So, I mean, when we talk about the flavor of grape, right, in the American market, we grow up and the flavor of grape is Concord grape. It's, Welch's grape juice, Bubblicious grape bubble gum. The grapes you get at the store usually going to be Concord grapes.
Yep.
So if I say grape, that's the flavor. Grape. If I say grape, it tastes like grape.
Exactly.
It's Concord
That's what you're
grape,
thinking about.
right? But these are all grapes. These are 6-7 different grape varieties here, and their flavors are all different and unique to themselves. So it's trying to explain that, or getting someone to accept or calibrate that grape isn't just Concord, right? And the same thing when it comes to the wine. So because wine has literally centuries of history in Europe, and there's a calibration to this is what wine should be like or taste like. The popularity or the acceptance for Concord grape wine it may not be the same, but we're getting into where we're seeing more discovery, or more people that are willing to try new things in the realm of wine. It's continuing to evolve as an industry, not just in that it's moving forward, but it's growing and proliferating. There are more participants from different backgrounds. There are more participants in different places and spaces. I'm sure, like in the Missouri, Arkansas, the Ozarks area, like what they're doing there is different. The East Coast has a burgeoning space. Through Vermont and the Carolinas. Of course, here what we're doing in Texas, and still continuing to grow and develop things on the West Coast through California, Oregon, and Washington. So, and can't forget about Michigan. Anyway, I'm saying there's wine culture going on everywhere.
Sure.
And it does become a little personal, right? Because it's what you like, what you grow up with, the things that are around it, right? That resonate, as far as like the cuisine that you have it with, the times that you would consume it, the people that are growing it, or what you can or can't grow in your region. So, all that being said is that, Concord grape wine exists. I'm sure it's really good. And maybe it'll have its time. We're just not in that space yet.
I know when I was, like I said, going back when I was in Spain and Portugal, we would go to the wineries that were there. Now, unlike Texas wineries that may have 2 or 3 styles that come off of that vineyard, in Spain, each winery is known for its bottle, period. Right. That's all they make every year. Here it comes. It may not be as automated. Well, it may be automated now. This was in the early 80s when I was there, but it was still the family-owned, older vineyards. This is how the wine's going to taste. So you knew, you didn't necessarily buy the name like a Mel Blanc, or you bought the name of the company.
Right, the chateau or the house.
Right. Yeah. So you come to the United States and you have the varieties here in Texas they're able to grow so many different styles that are unique to Texas. Therefore, the wine is unique then. So you may have a vineyard that may have 3 or 4 different varieties coming off with their name on it. And then you guys get a selection of different, you have people that you deal with. Hey, what have you got? I need X amount. Here it comes. And then you work your magic in there and make it great, or expound upon the greatness. So that's the thing between, I think, European and anything grown or done in America, and then especially here in Texas, because of our climate, because of our knowledge and our enthusiasm. And I think that's the biggest thing that we have encountered going around with Will and doing these things, is the enthusiasm of each little point joins a bigger family.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about last night, family.
He actually brought a really good point here. When it comes time for y'all to get y'all's grapes, do y'all get to actually choose what varietals y'all get, or they say, here's the varietals that we have, this is all you get to choose? I mean, because I know sometimes it can be limited. That look that you gave, Michael, was great. So I know sometimes it's very limited to what you can get due to different climates or different issues that's going on. So do y'all get presented every year, hey, I have this varietal available? Do y'all get to pick and choose that? Or how does that work? Or do you have your clients say, hey, I want this, and then you have to go out and get it?
It's a little bit of both. So early on, it was the clients wanted this style of wine, and then I would have to go find a grape variety that could be made into that style.
Okay.
And now that we've been on several vineyards for several years, and we know what we're getting, we can get, it's easier to get more of a single varietal than it is to get yet another variety. And so we're trying to fit what the client wants, but and also doing that, if we get a tank full, it's 3,000 gallons worth of Sangiovese, and it's going to 5 different customers. So we'll ferment it all together.
Right.
But we have been very cognizant of, and one of the things that one of our first customers was always worried about, especially buying from a custom crush, was I don't want my wine to taste like the guy just down the road.
Right.
And so we can do things in the winemaking process to make each individual's wine theirs. And so, can we up the volume on a particular variety on a particular vineyard to meet some needs, but then we can also personalize it to each one of the tasting rooms or wineries.
That's awesome.
That's magic right there.
So with that being said, have y'all actually thought about having y'all's own vineyard somewhere down here, and y'all actually not work about it, it's y'all's vineyard, y'all own it, and have somebody actually work it and grow it for y'all?
Yeah, who's going to work it?
Will. We thought about a whole bunch of stuff.
I bet.
A lot. But I mean, I think, again, like we just said, maybe one day way down the road. But right now, I think it's just, focusing on what we do and trying to be the best or get better at doing the thing that we do. Right. I mean, there's still a lot of room for us to improve. I think we do a good job, but there's still room for us to improve. We can still, stretch as far as like how good or how complex or what we can do for some of these wines. So, and that's always an exciting thing too, is thinking like, all right, we can get back in there, get back in the mix and do some different stuff. So I don't think we're not looking at like, why don't we get a vineyard?
To do anything other than what we're doing. We've basically scratched the surface on what we can do in the winery. And we're so busy doing what we're doing now that we're not going to open a tasting room. We're not going to start our own brand. We're not going to start a vineyard because after growing grapes for so long, so many years, I know what that takes. And I also know what it takes to get things done here at Sages. So it's no plans in the future.
So that being said, we've talked about the processes and everything about when you guys get finished at the end of the day and you punch out individually, what do you do when you leave this place? Do you go fishing? Do you go collect stamps?
By the way, I don't know how you saw my list, but that's question number 5 here.
And I'm not. Is he jumping ahead?
I mean, it's okay.
No, I'm just that just popped in my head because, I know in the past and different jobs that I had, I step away from that. I go do something else, and so, give us some insight. Or do you go home and read and study? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either.
I mean, a little bit of everything. It's also, that's part of it too. Like when you are in the entrepreneurial space, like there is no on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So,
true. Okay. Yeah.
So you have to carve out times, right, to go be with family, to go, spend time going to ball games or go to practices or whatever, to like you say, disconnect, to learn new things. I think that's still this industry's still really great and still exciting. So it's beneficial for work, but just spending time going to a client's event or going to a winery or reading and learning more about what's happening in the industry at large. Like those things are important, right? I also, in a super different tangent, I like to get gains. So like I like to go to the gym and, decompress that way.
Right. Well, as I was vocalizing that question, this little voice went, you're just like you said, the entrepreneur, you always reading, always studying. And it was kind of like, you need to, and everyone, it came out and I phrased it, but I understand it basically because you're learning, you want that golden ring again or the next golden ring. And then let's say you're studying something today and 2 weeks later, a client comes in. I know exactly what to do.
I've read about that.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Or I know where to get that, say, bottle or something in the industry that you've read about. Yeah, I understand that. And it was kind of an interesting decompression question, but
So just so you know, I get my gains from lifting cases of wine.
That's right. Gains are us, Will.
High repetition.
Bing, bing, bing.
So, it's a question to you, Wes.
Yeah, well, Michael touched on it.
I mean, you can't get away from this question.
It's when you own your own business, there really is no off button. So you have to plan that. I like to hunt. I like to play a little bit of golf. I don't have a whole lot of time for that. My daughter's grown and moved out, so the family time is
Another void.
is now spent here. And it depends on the season and what we're doing. Get here at 8 and leave at 7 or 8 or 9. And it's just.
Or you spend the night.
Or production season. I mean, I guess production is your 12-hour days, pretty well. 12, 15-hour days.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, running the press. Then bottling. I mean, there's always the next thing, and you have to reel yourself back in. I was like, wait a minute. It's like, yes, we need to do these things, but you can't wear yourself out in the doing, or you're for the long-term goal of we want to do this for years, not for 1 or 2 more.
Right.
Burn yourself out.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like that. So, got a good couple of quick questions here. And this is one right here that's always been a very hot topic in the wine community. Are you ready for this one? And actually, my hot topic that I hear a lot, maybe not the hot topic y'all talk about, but vegan-friendly wine.
God, that's so cold. Go away.
Well, I literally hear this at least 1 to 2 nights a week at the winery. People come in like, you have vegan-friendly wine. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, did we use egg whites on this wine?
Right.
But I mean, outside of egg whites, what else would cause a wine not to be vegan-friendly?
You can find with casein or gelatin. And if those products are derived from animals, I mean, even technically Pt2 would be one, but many of them on a commercial level, just by default are not. So they are vegan friendly. But if you're a traditionalist and you use egg whites or you use lysozyme that comes from egg whites or something like that, like, those things can cause it to be that way. I think when it comes to what we do, because we've been asked that question several times and we've looked into it and it's like, oh, well, it comes from, aspergillus or some other fungi, which is great, for that angle. Ultimately, for us, it's about making the wine the best that it can be, putting in the place to be the most successful. That's what's important. Not saying that it's not important for it to be vegan friendly. We want wine to be as inclusive as possible to get more people to experience the things that we love or experience the hard work that goes into to these products, right? Because we talk about the hard work that comes from the vineyard or from the winemaking, and even hard work that goes into the sales side of it. Like, we don't do that because that's not our forte. And it's hard. For me, that's hard. For somebody else, it may be easy. Right. That's hard. But that being said, what's important for us is to make the wine the best that it can be, right? Whatever that means. Yeah. And we've had to kind of give that answer like, well, we're going to do the thing that makes this wine the best. If it means using something that's not vegan friendly, so be it.
Right.
But like I say, on a commercial scale, many of those things they've kind of shifted around. There's options that exist to us. But it's about the wine for us.
Interesting. Well, I hate to jump around again because sometimes I like to throw y'all off course, because I want you to always be thinking, So specialty wines, okay? For example, one of the things I would love to do to experiment in my wines is I want to go old traditional clay pots. I know there's a lot of wineries out there that are using concrete fermentation tanks, okay? Have y'all had anybody that wanted to come out here and say, hey, I want you to make this for me, but I want you to age it in a clay pot. I want
amphora?
Yes. Or even a barrel of, something that's a wet bourbon barrel, something like that. Have y'all had any kind of special request for that? And then to add to that also, what's the oldest bottle of wine that y'all have had to age for a customer? Or let me refer to that client.
I'll take the first part. Yeah, so we haven't had anybody come and ask for amphora or some, make this wine like this in this style. Mm-hmm. Outside of the normal options of stainless steel or a barrel, right? Mm-hmm. But we have had several, and it's pretty popular. Can you age it in a bourbon barrel?
Sure.
Okay. And we've got a few here, and we've done it. And they've turned out well. And it some people knock that, but it's such a marketing thing. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to sell. The boyfriend, the husband, whoever that is a bourbon drinker. Well, I have this wine that's aged in a bourbon barrel. They instantly perk up. Yep. They want to try it. Yep. And it's their favorite wine. And it doesn't matter if it's really, I say it doesn't matter.
Harsh.
Yeah. Super good or not. It's bourbon barrel aged wine. So I'm going to like it. So they've already made up their mind before they even grab that glass.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So it's easier to sell in that format. Yep. But outside of that, am I missing something?
You're missing like a huge segment.
Nope.
Wow.
Sparkling.
As a simple answer, we try to accommodate special projects as they can come around. One that we're working on right now is a Madeira style Blanc du Bois that happens to be in a bourbon barrel as well.
Oh my goodness. Really?
So it's like layered all these things on top of each other. Just one barrel just to try it out. We talked about it at the beginning of the season, with the client. He's like, Michael, if you want to try this, man, we got some. I was like, all right, Pat Daddy. I'll try it out with you. You got to take some of this responsibility with me.
Yeah, if it's no good, Michael, if it's no good, we'll just pour it out,
Well, I'm sorry.
Pour it
if
in a
it's
pitcher.
not good, you have to figure some way to make something out of it.
We'll blend it back into the rest of the batch, but
luckily it's very good.
But it's very good, and we're pretty excited about it. We're
awesome.
happy that he's happy about with that. But we're open. Again, when it comes to being open, sometimes you do have to say no or not right now because it's ultimately about the wine.
Right.
So if you get off on a tangent, I'm working on a small batch of let's do one like this. That's some of the parts of it that we're still growing and figuring out, how much bandwidth we can commit to some of those things. We want to be able to it's fun. We love that stuff. But we still have to be able to deliver our portion of the relay race to them to be able to hand the baton.
Right. One of the things that I want to do when I do my wines, I want to be unique and different from everything else. There's always somebody out there wanting to do something different that just makes them stand out. And one of the things that I'm going to tell you my little secret here, so we may have to bleep this one out, but my Tempranillo that I've got aging right now, it's being aged in an old-fashioned barrel. So the distillery I got it from, he actually makes all the bourbons. He makes everything for his old fashions. He puts it in a 5-gallon barrel and he ages it for about 30 to 60 days in that barrel. And then it's got a spigot on the front of it that he serves. But before he serves it, he pulls the bung plug out and he puts
a bottle of bourbon on top of that. And then he serves off of that. I mean, that's some good stuff there. So I've got that with my Tempranillo being aged in it. Now, what I did, and this is the secret ingredient here, I took some vodka that he has. It was blackberry sage vodka, and I poured a whole bottle of that inside there. And I'm not going to lie, it's tasting pretty great. And then one other thing that I really want to try is, right now smoking bourbon's a big thing, and I actually found out that smoking wine is becoming a big thing nowadays. And I've actually got the whole glass container to actually smoke the bourbon and stuff, and I want to try smoking some wine. But I was thinking to myself, what would it be like if we put it in a barrel and we smoked it inside that barrel and plugged it, and then roll that wine around in that smoke and see what happens?
Gotta find out.
Don't know until you try it.
You may call you when I get done with it.
That's fine. We'll get some stuff. Get a plan.
You've got to boldly go.
Yeah.
Draw it up.
Done before, and then, like you said, if it don't work,
just
oopsie,
mix it
something
in,
else you can do.
But I mean, it's the wine is okay. So it actually leads into the next question here about wine being an art or science. It is an art and it's a science, because the fact of what I was just talking about, I want a specific taste, and you can't just sometimes acquire that taste by just throwing stuff into it and say, okay, I got this taste here. Sometimes you can't do that. You have to find that outside method to get it in there. Prime example is this. Y'all know Jackson from Square Cloud, right? Okay. Everything he does is in stainless steel tanks. He doesn't do anything in oak. And the first time I was there, out of the corner of my eye, I see him dropping what looked like to me a maraschino cherry into somebody's wine. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? I heard he's a mad scientist, but come on, you won't be mad for so much, And talking to him, and found out he was putting an oak ball into it. And so when I break down the whole thought process of putting an oak ball into it and aging the wine in an oak barrel, when you age wine in an oak barrel, you're getting all the flavors and everything added to the wine at that moment, because you're aging it for so long. And so it becomes the nuclei, and I'm going to use it like that. It's called call it nuclei of your wine, and you taste it in that body, okay? But if you don't age it in an oak, and then you add the oak ball to it, you got your nuclei of your wine, and then outside of your added an encasement of that oak flavor. So it's not part of the wine, it's a extension or a added flavor of that wine. And when you think about it that way, that's another art form right there. And it's a science. And talking to Jackson about that, I was just like, it actually blew my mind when he was kind of describing that to me. And I'm like, why would you do that? And he said, because it just adds a new layer. Instead of adding part of the wine, it adds it to it as a new layer to it. And it just, at that point, my whole thought process of winemaking had completely changed to a whole different direction. What's going on?
You might have to go get some more wine now. He's looking for something he hasn't tried yet.
Well, so far, I've already had the Stone Trial Sanjo, and I freaking love that Sanjo. And I didn't know y'all actually made their Sanjo, which is I didn't know y'all made their Sanjo, and their Sanjo is absolutely amazing, and that's great. And then I'm going to say that Cab Franc. Here's what I'm going to say about that. The minute I smelled it, I smelled big green bell peppers. And then when I drank it, I got that same big green bell peppers. There you go. Looky there. Now he can swirl and we don't hear it.
I did this all day yesterday. Nobody said a word. Maybe because it was a wooden table.
It was a different table. Yeah, this was glass. Glass on glass is rough.
We literally sat here every time you do. We were looking at each other and we just start laughing.
So stop doing that. My phone up, okay? And I'm gonna do this. Jeez.
But I mean, it's amazing when you talk to different winemakers what they're doing to make wine their own signature. And I love what y'all are doing here, because y'all have a signature on this. And you can say, no, I don't. But you do. Even though it's somebody else who's coming in here and saying, I wanted it like this, y'all are ultimately in the end.
He's so happy now.
I know.
You can swirl in silence.
But y'all add y'all signature to this, every bit of those. And I really commend what y'all are doing here. Y'all made something so amazing here. I've been wanting to come here for a long time, ever since so tell everybody, what was the award that you got at Twigger this year?
Got an award.
So I was the Louis Qualia award recipient for the pioneering spirit in the Texas wine industry. It celebrates, I guess, people who are doing what we're doing as far as being pioneers. Previously given to, Ann Richards, who is a former governor, and Susan Combs, who's an ag commissioner, and then to the city of Grapevine and some other, prestigious people in the industry.
So, out of curiosity, when you got that award, did you share it with Wes, or you just said, "This is mine"?
No, it's all him.
I mean,
technically, without him,
I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about myself. No.
But Michael, the minute I met you at Twigga, I knew, first off, I want to describe everybody how I saw you that day, okay? You come in, you had your braids or your dreads down, and you was wearing a dashiki, wasn't you?
I just had like a scarf, just a kente cloth scarf.
Okay.
Across the Black Sea.
For whatever reason, I thought you was wearing a dashiki coming in there. For whatever reason, that's my thought when I saw you. But I see this short man come in here, and I'm like,
He's so short.
Well, you hear that? You hear interviews? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Interviews over.
You notice the shovel in his hand. He's just
But I see you come in, and I'm like, who is this guy here? Because you came in and making a statement, okay? Between you and Alphonse, both of y'all came in and made a statement. Y'all pointed. Y'all were the way Alphonse was dressed. He had the cowboy hat on, and he had that big cane in his hand and stuff like that. He made a presence, and you came in and you made a presence. And I was like, who are these guys? And I didn't know when we were on stage, we were giving you all these awards. And when I gave you, when we announced those awards out, and I saw y'all come up, and I'm like, these are important guys. In fact, actually, there it is. Oh, hey, looky there. Show him the picture. That's the picture of it right there.
Yeah, he didn't know he was getting it. I had to kick him out of his chair to go up there, and they're talking about you. Go get your award. What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember that. You had a delay response, and we were like,
yeah.
Okay, so
very delayed.
Yeah, very delayed. But you know what? I have to say, hearing everybody. In fact, actually, my first really presentation of your name was at Triple N. And when we were talking to them, and they were saying how great you are. In fact, they had a picture of you on the wall, and I don't think that picture had braids on. I think you were clean cut and had a nice little haircut, high and tight.
No, that wasn't me then. That's somebody else.
No, you had a nice suit on, and
you had it back. It was
just back.
It was back like it is today.
Okay, maybe the picture.
Yeah, they've got his picture up over the bar at Triple N, and they put flowers on it daily.
Yes,
it's something to behold.
They've got incense blowing in front of it also.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
But when they first introduced me to who you were, I was like, I need to know this man. And so I started doing a lot of research, and I found out where you work at and what you're doing and stuff. And I wanted to meet you, but then when Twigga happened, and all of a sudden you showed up there, and I'm like, I need to talk to you now. I've got to talk to you now. But there's only so many days in a week, and there's so many days in a year that I get to do this stuff. And finally getting an opportunity to come and sit down and talk with you and talking to US, I know Michael gets a lot of the credit, but you know what? In the back end, you get just as much credit as he does.
Yeah, I'm guilty by association.
Yeah, well. And the look on Michael's face
that's
right
pretty
now.
good.
He's like, why did you just say that?
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
But, everybody in Texas knows who you are, and everybody sings your praise of who you are and how you've pioneered different things in the wine industry today. And if I can do this for everybody in Texas, thank you for what you're doing here. Thank you for pushing Texas wines even further and harder to the next level. Because if it wasn't for people like you and John Reifenberg, pushing and pushing and pushing, Texas wine industry probably wouldn't be where it is now. And, we can't leave Roxanne out. We got to put Roxanne in there too.
I think that Texans would find a way, with or without us. They would find a way, and that's where I am very humbled that for whatever reason, they're like, this guy should get the award, because it could have been any number of people. Mm-hmm. They're fantastic people in our industry.
Yes.
you just point out that Reagan is pioneering a new grape variety at Sandy Road. You know, you got Ron that's doing like all these different barrel trials, or Michael Barton, or what Chris Brundrett is doing, and all these different people that that are deserving. You know, you got Patrick up at Blue Ostrich, who's been like establishing that St. Joe region,
Yes.
you know, and Grayson over at RK, and like you just got, there's great people in our industry,
Yes.
period. And that's what makes it so enjoyable. And here I'm going to take a moment to be like as sentimental as it's ever going to get. And like, I've got a great person right here with Wes Jensen.
Hey, Wes, go get a napkin for him. He might start crying.
He might.
I don't cry. It's not going to happen.
Not in public.
I got an image. I'm just kidding. But you know, like you say, like without Wes, like this wouldn't be. We have a great relationship, and his fortitude as far as like being a great partner, a great sounding board, or a great like no man. Like no, whatever. You need to keep doing this thing. Like, you know, keep going. Right. Those things are important because it's wine is so communal, and even on the back end of what we do, it's so communal. It's not just a unilateral decision making thing. Like it takes, what do you think about this? Or what do you think that this should taste like? Or are we going in the right direction? And like, you know, I think about so many times that we were on the back of the trucks, you know, in the old barn, like
Looking at the stars.
I like making wine with you, Wes. I like making wine with you, Mike. And like, it's just like,
Now let's go home.
Now let's go home. Yeah. At like 2 or 3 a.m., like, you know, making wine with you is still fun. Yeah, it's still fun. And like, that's kind of the story of, I think probably everybody in Texas, like, you know, making wine is still fun. There's sometimes you get kicked in the teeth and it sucks. And it's like, gosh, geez, like, you know, whether you miss on tonnage or you're over on tonnage or it doesn't taste quite how you want it to, or any number of things, you know, that can come upon you. End of the day, making wine is still fun.
Yeah. And that's what ultimately in the end, that's what it means. So you got any good things or bad things you want to say about Michael?
Yeah, I'm glad you gave me an opportunity. So I was going to jump in here anytime. Well, truthfully, I mean, I'm glad you said all these things about Michael because and what he has just said and presented in all thanks, but all these other people in this industry are great. He comes out braggadocious and he'll beat his chest, but he's an extremely humble person, and he is an individual of high character. So that makes our partnership run very well, and it also helps the Texas wine industry in general.
You know, and I love how you are actually really, really humble at what. Well, he's got a full glass. He doesn't need to know that. But I love how humble y'all are at this because, you know, you could just say, yeah, I'm the best out here and call it a day, you know, but, you know, you're very humble. You're allowing other people to take the credit too. And that's respectable. That's where respect gets earned is from that. And I really do appreciate what y'all are doing.
Well, when you talk about people like it's not brand new, the wine industry, you know, you got people like Alphonse, Uncle Alphonse. It's like, my first interaction with Alphonse was in Houston in 2000 and probably like 16. And like just that same genuine character, that same just, he is who he is. Yes. He loves what he does. He shared, I think it was Gotas de Oro, his sweet white wine.
Yes.
We got our boots shined together at the rodeo, you know, just a solid guy. This was a good guy, not realizing that he was a legend, you know, in the industry. And there's so many stories that are like that in Texas wine, you know, that people like the Allers, right?
Neil Newsom.
Yes. That's like a living legend that like, he always comes over and sees us whenever we're at conferences or, you know, whether it be Hill Country or whatever, you know, and then the new and exciting, you know, I say new, but the mid-tier as far as age wise, like players of the game, you said John Rivenberg and you said Chris Brundrett or Ron Yates or Doug Lewis and all these other people that have been so gracious to allow us to be able to be a part of this thing that we have going on. And we just want to keep that going, you know? Let me get one soapbox moment real quick like this.
Uh-oh.
I think
Wes is over here like making a comment under his breath.
He's like, oh, here we go.
I think a take-home message just for wine as a whole, especially kind of where we are with people looking at other beverages or considering, you know, seltzers or RTDs or whatever. And then as you grow in industry, you get off into some of the subtle nuances and the delicacies of wine and the expression of terroir and all these, you know, these things that are so elevated in the experience. End of the day, wine is communal and it's fun and it should be celebrated as such. And we have to never forget that, you know, that it's about having a good time. Like, let's just get back to having a good time around wine. That's so important.
It's relationships.
I love what you're saying there, because you know what, the one thing that California has done to wine is made it pretentious and snobbery. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that the message that I want to get out is that wine is not snobbery. It is not pretentious. And you can have a great glass of wine and be around just Joe Schmo all day long. You know, you don't have to be making a 8-figure paycheck and enjoy wine. You can actually go out and get a nice, it may not be Texas wine, but you can get a good bottle of $8 wine and actually enjoy it with your friends and family, okay? And I'm only promoting it like that because wine is a friendship in a bottle.
Yep.
Oh, Michael's starting to cry now. Let's make him a napkin.
But I mean, you got me. You got me.
But I mean, you know, how many times have you gone to a winery and you've poured a glass of wine and you're sitting there drinking it, and you hear a conversation from somebody next to you and you relate to what they're saying, and you reach over there and you just start talking to them, and the next thing you know, you're scooting tables together, and next thing you know, you've brought another bottle of wine and you're sitting there enjoying it together, and y'all, next thing you know, that y'all's cousins, third aunts, sisters, brothers, whatever, were like hanging out with each other. Okay, well, maybe I went a little far right there, but
something like that. You become family at the end of the night. Man.
Yeah, and sometimes in some of those cases, you exchange telephone numbers and you become friends with them and you start hanging out with them and you get to know them. And guess what just happened? Over this little glass of wine right here, these grapes just made a friendship right there. And it could be a lifelong friendship. It could be a 15-minute friendship, but it made a friendship.
Yep. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I won't say all Californians made it pretentious, because I got some friends in California.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to say
I won't besmirch their names.
I want to say the big ones, the big, you know, mass productions.
Wine as a whole can be very pretentious. Even for me getting into it, it's sometimes there are barriers because we have a language of wine, right? And when you get so specialized, you may not realize that it's important to it's not dumbing it down, but to meet people where they are, right? If you are still at, all you know is Cabernet Sauvignon because you heard somebody else say Cab.
Yep.
So that's, you know, like then that's okay. And it's important to not just be like, oh, you don't know about the beauty of a Chilean Caminere. Oh, I can't believe you can't even consider yourself a wine drinker.
Get out of my presence, peasant.
You know, I think it's just important to meet people where they are in their wine journey, because it's just about enjoyment and building those relationships. Like over thinking about, thought about that wine from Friday, like all weekend long. Like, yeah, man, I'm glad Wes shared that wine with me, man. Or like it's seared in my brain, Sauvignon Blanc, and on the coast eating seafood in Chile. Like that's
so.
Like
when you get ready to go to Chile, let me know, and I'll sneak in your suitcase. We'll go.
Okay. I know a couple of guys. You're gonna have to wear a wig. It's gonna be fine.
I don't know.
In a good way, because I don't know if you know this about me, Will, but I also like to party.
Oh You know, it's not a party if you hadn't put down at least 4 bottles of wine.
Well, let's get going then. Let's fire it up.
I think there's another one somewhere we were told that we could try today.
Well, you know what? That's not my choice there. That's
I'll go get it. I was just going to add too. So part of the pretentiousness
No
of
hesitation.
wine. I mean, it's such a big world. You've got 3,600 varieties just in vinifera. I mean, not even talking about hybrids or anything else. You've got the entire world is growing wine and you just oak. You want to get an oak and you do a deep dive into what do you do, French, or do you do Eastern European, or do you do, and then what forest in France are you getting this from? And it can be so complex and so deep. Cork, glass, all of these things are so complex. It's so massive that when you walk up to it, you're just looking at this massive thing, and it's like, I don't know if I like wine because I had one and it was Carlo Rossi and I didn't like it, and every other red wine I've ever had has been bad.
You know, you actually made a good point about the barrel and different types of oaks and stuff. Something I've actually heard that they're actually starting to do now. Now I know they'll take like a barrel and the staves on it will be French, and then the heads would actually be American. But I've actually heard what they're doing now is they're taking the staves and alternating American French, American French, American French, American French.
You can do whatever you want with it. If you know the right cooperage,
you
can
do whatever you
can
want.
basically order however you want it. You could have the ends toasted differently than you have the inside of the barrels. You can, I mean, it's,
you know, and it's crazy. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, I'm making all this wine. I'm a very much of a person. If it's doable, I'm going to try to do it myself. And I got to look at doing a cooperage, and I realized that in order to become a cooperage, you got to have at least 4 years working in one before you become an apprentice, and then it's another 4 years becoming a master. And I'm like, okay, maybe not. I won't touch that part.
I'll let somebody else take care.
Yeah, we'll let somebody else do that. Just like I'm gonna let somebody else do the vineyard part and barrels.
Okay, let's get back in the right ball field here.
So, as we're going to wrap up this show here, because you know we can sit here and talk about this all day long, and I could make multiple episodes with you. What's that?
yeah, we can.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Michael, did you kick the stand?
No, I did it.
Oh, you did it. You could have still.
Don't try to put it on me. I am a consummate professional, Will. It may seem like I'm not, but I am a consummate professional.
I could literally sit here and talk to y'all for a couple more hours, but I know that y'all have a life that y'all have to do, and y'all accommodate being up here for us to interview y'all, and I really appreciate that. And I still have a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive back home as well. So with all that being said, we'll have to make definitely another session with y'all. This is already going to be a 2-part episode. I'm just going to tell you right now. Okay, because we're right now we're sitting at about 2 hours and 15 minutes. But is there anything you want to say from your heart, or just randomly want to say, Michael, that you just want to say about Texas wine, what you're doing here, or just anything in general about wine what we have going on right now? Were you looking at Wes?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Excellent.
Well, it's an exciting time to be involved in Texas and Texas wine. Everybody is learning. Even the people that have been in it almost their entire professional career are still learning. But that's just wine in general. You're always learning. It's like I mentioned earlier. It's such a massive industry, but we haven't even really scratched the surface as much as we've been in and running and making wine in Texas about what Texas can do and can produce.
Right.
And we haven't truthfully really even found this is what we do so well that we can clean anybody's clock with. And so we're still trying to figure that out. Some people think they have it, and by golly, go for it. But when everybody does it, then you're sort of an established wine region. But it's fun time. The Texas industry in general is super friendly and family oriented. Everybody helps each other, which is fun. And I'm just glad to be here, guys.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I already kind of jumped on the soapbox. And I guess kind of reiterating and piggybacking off of what Wes said, like, you know, don't forget that what we're doing is fun and exciting, and with love. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's those are big conceptual things that seem like a little soft or mushy, but it truly is. Like, you gotta love this industry to be in it, to stay in it.
Yep.
And you're providing something that is that art and science mesh point that that brings pleasure to people. It brings enjoyment to situations, right? Like, it's a catalyst for those conversations with strangers. It's a conduit for elevating a meal. It's a springboard for new ideas. You sit around and have a couple of bottles of wine and something good comes out of it. So, just don't forget, to everybody else that's still in the industry, that, don't forget why you got into it.
Yeah.
And why we do what we do. And then a thank you to, that was me that time. That was me to hit that, because I like to talk with my hands. I hate that.
I'm the same way. I got to talk with my hands too.
That was me 100%. But a thank you to all the people that work with us, that have trusted us, that believe in us. We wouldn't be where we are without that. Thank you to all the people that have come before us. Back whenever it was 46 wineries, Winery G permits pulled in Texas, that have toughed it out and helped us to get where we are, to the modern Texas wine industry. And thank you for the people that choose Texas wines, whether it be to stock their store shelves, that fill their grocery carts, that are on their dinner tables. Thank you to those people. The end.
Well said. Now, real quick, we'll end it right here. So how many wineries y'all actually produce wine for in Texas? Well, not just in Texas, just say in general. So, because I know y'all said y'all do outside of Texas as well. So how many wineries y'all produce wine for?
It varies from year to year. I think 2 years ago it was like 41. Some people come in and they'll get some, and then they'll sit out a year and come back. So 41-ish brands, 36, wow. Something along those lines.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, Michael, Wes, I thank y'all for allowing us to come out here, sit down and talk with y'all. We're going to have to definitely do this again, because
you had fun, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a blast. In fact, actually, the next time
we'll have to come to Fort Worth.
Maybe have just some steaks and stuff,
Yeah.
Well, don't press your luck.
I'm not talking about them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah. Next time I'll come out, maybe I'll come out with some dirty clothes and I'll help y'all make some wine.
Come on.
I really enjoy working in the production room.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Will.
You know what? Can we play some Barry White while we do that?
Listen, we got speakers out there. We like to listen to a lot of deep house music. So
let's get it on.
House of Pain. Come on, we're going to jump around.
Okay. So, real quick, I'm going to hit my sponsors right quick, and then we're going to the closing of this podcast, because we do quotes, right? So real quick, my sponsors is the Texas Wine Lover app. Great little app out there. You find your Texas wines out there. You can go out there on the website and also on the app, and you can filter out through what kind of wines you're looking, what kind of experience you're looking for. Just a great little app to find out there. And then, of course, we have Fly with Wine. Have y'all heard of Fly with Wine?
Yep.
They gave me a 12 suitcase.
Nice.
And I haven't really got to use it yet, but one of the ladies from...
I use mine.
Yeah, I've used mine.
Well, I mean, I work for like 5 jobs. I don't have time to travel yet, but I've got, I have a lady from Grapevine Visitor Bureau who went to Australia. And I told her, I said, you can use my suitcase, but you have to bring me some Australian wine back. And you're talking about Riesling and different flavors of Riesling. Mm-hmm. She brought me a Riesling back from a place called the Riesling Freak. And he has 99 different flavors of Riesling. I didn't know you could do 99 different flavors,
I'm intrigued.
Yes. And then she brought me some Shiraz, not Syrah, back also. And so those not been open yet. Maybe you have to make a trip down here and we break some bread together again,
Bring some special bottles.
I also got some Sagrantino from Rome. That's also.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but she used my suitcase to use it down there, and she said that was the greatest thing in the world because she was trying to figure out how to ship wine back. And I said, just put it in the suitcase
and then bring it back, and you don't have to worry about shipping it. And that way, when you got here, you can open the bottle up while you're driving home. Now, I don't promote drinking and driving, okay?
Yeah, you might hit a bump, spill your drink. I mean, come on.
Michael's over here all tickled up now for that one.
That was good.
Oh man! So now we're going to end this episode with some good quotes. Okay, so I actually made this. I saw a little post online, and I kind of twisted it up a little bit and turned it into a wine post. Okay, or wine quote. So you ready for this one? This is hilarious. If you see my kids in the front yard pulling weeds, leave them alone. They are on a field trip, and I am the substitute teacher sitting on the lawn chair drinking wine.
That's right.
And then this is probably one of my favorite ones, because this is the essence of wine. Okay, all you need in life is love of your life and an amazing bottle of wine.
Cheers.
Cheers. So this is Will with We Know Texas Vino. We're going to sign off for the day.
And this is Rob/Hutch.
So cheers.
Texas Vino.
Yeah, something like that. Cheers, folks.
Cheers, folks.
Cheers.